less expensive from the get-go, a lower life cycle cost, meaning that over time, that these parts and pieces would cost a lot less to maintain, and there'd be a lot less potential for damage. I think the last two slides basically speak to the same thing, or the next two slides. We feel like we could maybe offer some alternative solutions on the exterior where new brick is being added above where the windows will be located. Potential to use synthetic stucco or EIFS. Potential to change the location of openings so that less demolition expense is necessary, and maybe changing out the copings on it to make it a little less expensive and give you the same look. I think our last slide shows an interior view of the, or it shows a floor plan with a lot of drywall bulkheads and a lot of things that would look really nice, but they're also really expensive. We're not saying take them out. We're not saying eliminate them altogether, but at least give you some proposal and give you some sort of cost per item so that you know where your money's being spent and what benefit and what value you get out of it. That's really the biggest thing that I think we've got to offer in terms of a company is being able to tell you what it is we feel like you're asking for and what those costs are. Giving you a clear picture of what it is you're asking to be built and making sure that whenever you're spending your money, that you're spending it in the places that you think you're spending it. So I guess in summary, again, we appreciate the opportunity to present our company and what our vision for working with you on the Steel Library would be. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to save money. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to gain a very useful and very maybe even a utilitarian approach to building a library rather than building what you currently got in a set of plans. And again, that's a great set of plans. And I think there's somewhere between there and reality where Wayne County will want to settle. That's our presentation.
Good afternoon. I'm Tim Robbins. I'm president of Jackson Builders. As I iterated in our first meeting, we didn't have everybody's presence there. One of the things that intrigued me the most about this opportunity, and that's the way I look at it as an opportunity, is to see the county branch out into something a little more innovative and a little better way of spending the people's money. And I applaud you for that. I hope this thing comes to fruition. And what today becomes, and if I understand your mission today, you're going to choose a contractor. Well, you've had 5 opportunities today to see contractors. We're all hairy, and none of us are real pretty, and we all do the same things. We drive the same trucks, and we use the same tools, and those kind of things. The difference is in the way you conduct your business, and I'm real proud of that at Jackson Builders. I've been working there since 1980. And it wasn't 1979 because I had to worry Mr. Jackson for a year before he would hire me. And when he finally did, I sat in the hall for a year. There really wasn't much to do. But one of the things that's kept me there is I've never had a moment when I was embarrassed by our company. I've never had a moment when I was ashamed of a customer that we left in a mess, or never remember not paying for a bill or getting in a fist fight over money, or arguing with an architect or a building inspector, or doing that kind of gotcha construction that I despise. And there's a lot of that goes on. We don't do that. We don't have a team of lawyers to follow us around, make sure we do everything right. We know what to do. We know how to do things right. That's what we do. Ever since I was a little boy, my daddy told me, he said, I never worried about you too much because I knew you had too much conscience to do a lot wrong. And that's the way we built our company. And we're proud of that. It's played out many, many, many times. And if this is a commercial for trying to get chosen to do this job, I'll just tell you, you've got a tough choice. Everybody that you've had before you today is probably qualified to build this building. But there's an opportunity here to really utilize the experience that we have in over 3,000 plus jobs of doing exactly this kind of thing. We did design build before it even had a name. We thought it was just getting with your neighbors that had a need and figuring out the best way to help them with that need and figuring out about what you thought it was going to cost, and when you got done charging them what you said you were going to charge them. That's how we started. But before it was in vogue and before it became a vulgarity to use the word construction management, which I think it is in a lot of cases these days, we were doing it, and we're still going to do it. You call it what you want to. Here's what we call it. We call it doing the right thing and looking after your customer, getting looked after in return, and hoping to go back and get some more of their money. So if you're going to choose somebody to do this job, we hope it's us. We think there's a great opportunity for the county and for us here, and we certainly love to have opportunity to sit down, roll up our sleeves, and do the right thing. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Eckhart? You have anything?
I don't think so. They hit on the same thing that we had talked about a couple of more times this morning on the lighting, using some of the natural lighting, do away with what's on the original blueprints, and I like that. So, but that's about all I got.
Okay. I had just one question. I noticed, I don't see anywhere in here, once we get through with the permits and everything that we need to get done, public hearings or whatever, drawings, in order to get started on the renovation itself, what's your timeline on the renovation itself? Do you have a projected time?
I think the actual interior construction and, do I need to get back up?
Yes.
Yes, please,
Yeah.
so we can hear it. Thank you.
We feel like the interior demolition, what's left, and completing the exterior work, probably a time frame of about 8 months.
Okay.
And when I say about, the reason that I don't give you a firm answer in terms of 8 months and 11 days or 7 months and a half is due to the fact we don't have a set of design documents so we know exactly what we're building. We feel like taking those and putting those in order is about a 2-month time frame, and then about between meeting with the client, getting those plans together is about a 2-month time frame, getting those permitted, and then about 8 months for construction.
Okay. The other question I had was on your subs. Do you when you go out for bids, do you go out for like 2 or 3 bids, or do you have a set base that you use, or how do you accomplish that?
That depends on how the county wants to contract. We've done a contract form before where we actually take a set of documents and give a set of parameters to our subs and ask them to give us pricing based on this scope of work. We can competitively price our subs, or what we prefer to do in several of our divisions is to take, we've got a mechanical sub, an electrical sub, and a plumbing sub that we all feel very confident in. We work with them day in and day out. We'd prefer to use those in a relationship where the county sees the cost, or we'd be glad to bid that out. That depends on how the county wants to contract. So that's kind of it's an open-ended question. Tim, you want to address that at all?
Yeah, just, and I know he probably didn't just think of it this way, but we like to use the same people because you're buying our team. These are people that work together all the time. On the electrical, HVAC, plumbing, we typically use the same contractors over and over again on our negotiated work. So I think you lose a little bit of what you bought us for if we go out and turn this into a bidding game. And you can always find a cheaper price. You can always find somebody that can do it. But in order to fit into the footprint of what we think we do best, We'd like to have a cohesive team of our choice, and certainly with your blessing. So we'd like to have opportunity to put together a package and then have those major subs. You'd be welcome to interview them, be welcome to ask them questions yourself. But I think to get the greatest advantage of what we think we do well, you bring our whole team along, who we see is best suited to do that job.
Well, and having said that, if you do that, do you have any checks and balances that you keep in place that you can assure the owner, which is the county in this case, that you are getting the best pricing and best value for the county?
Nothing other than the experience to call on and knowing what we think is a fair price for a particular design, scope of work.
Right.
As I said, you can very easily turn this into a contest to see who can make the biggest mistake and leave the most out of their bid and have the low price. If that's what you choose to do, and that's chosen every day, we just don't happen to think that is the best way to go about it. We'd rather have an entire team approach from the subcontract level right on through us and into the owners, and everybody participate in the selection and be sure we're going to get what we need, even if we have to pay a buck or two more. And who knows? We certainly do a lot of work on that basis. I can't think of too many jobs we lost because we used a subcontractor that was charging too much. So that's how I would answer that, Mr. Mayo, and just as respectfully as I can.
Okay, I understand.
There is an opportunity to put it out there in terms of giving that scope to 2 or 3 or ever how many subcontractors you want to utilize and seeing who comes up with the best mousetrap. That's certainly an opportunity, and we do have relationships with enough subs to do that if the county so chooses. But what we really like to do is allow the people, and this is how we feel like we best serve the county and our clients and anybody else who works with us, is to take the people who do the work, a mechanical subcontractor who actually does the work to participate in the upfront design of the project in conjunction with an architect and engineer. That architect is going to take a look at all the code issues. The engineer is going to look at the mechanical, the plumbing, the electrical performance that you've got within that job. That sub designing that along with the engineer, and them working together as a team is going to yield you the lowest cost right off the bat. That's where we feel, like our subs and our team offer you the best of both worlds. They're actually working in conjunction with an engineer. They know the cost side of it. He knows the engineering side of it. Those two put together yields you the best results.
Okay, thank you. Mr. King?
Just real quickly, probably don't need to get too far away from the podium, Mr. Robbins. Probably need to stick
Funny
close
how
to
that
it.
affects people.
That's right. That's right.
It don't affect me.
You both got each other's back standing that close. That's right. I was impressed with your comments about the point, and at lunch talking to our library director and sort of getting a feel of where they are and where they will be in this process. So help me out to give me some standards that you would go along with your subs in relation to bringing alongside our director and her ideas within the design process. If you are going to use the design that we already have, if you're going to play off of that and reconstruct, then will that team be a part of your team going forward with the subs?
Yes, I think there's several pieces of it that you can break it down into, Commissioner. There's the floor plan, which we felt really did a pretty good job of using the space. It's very well laid out. Only a couple of tweaks are required in that floor plan for us to do. So we kind of use that as the backbone of the design. The subs would obviously have some input in terms of knowing what they needed in a mechanical room or an electrical room or a sprinkler riser area. Those types of things, yes, they'd have some input. We'd have all of those people together to make sure that we got every piece of the backbone that needed to be put back in place. But it's already really there in terms of that floor plan. I think that's something that the architect did a really good job with. And I think you take that and you build on it. So if the county librarian or the whoever's on the staff that'll be part of that, I mean, we'd actually consider them part of the team.
Okay.
We got to make sure that what we put out there for them to use is something that's of value to them. So they'd have interaction with it, our subs would have interaction with it, and obviously our engineer and architect would have.
Well, the idea was you have the point at a church, and you built it for the children or the kids or the youth in this case, and you stated that it has all the bells and whistles. And with technology the way it is and outfitting that particular part of the church for that ministry, it's the same with librarians, is that they know what it's going to take in computers and technologies and all the bells and whistles that are to come for the next 10 to 15 years, and finding subs that relate to that, and then having that in your company. Of course, the way I understand your company is your interior design, you do all the work internally with your engineers and your architects. All that's in with your company.
We actually coordinate all the work from inside. The one person that's not here today that could maybe offer a little insight in that is Brian Howell. Brian works very closely with our engineers, architects, with our subs, to make sure that every idea that's put out there gets conveyed clearly on a set of plans. You know, where you've got a set of plans that should convey it very clearly, because I mean, there's probably 80, 90 pages of what Ratio did. Our person in Brian would take every idea that needed to be translated and put those on paper. With Joe's guidance, with the architect's guidance, with whoever's guidance, you know, taking those subs, the engineer, and our company, and putting all those together and making sure that that's something that the county and the library wants to buy off of. And we want to make sure that we give them what they're asking for.
Okay. And the last thing, and I'll follow with that, my main emphasis is looking, I'm sure you've been out to the building and you see that it lays along really two sides. One being the north side, which is the main street, and the other one being the west side, which is Chestnut Street. And what I've asked all day is that the architect look at a wraparound facade that it looks the same all the way around it for curb appeal, and to incorporate that, particularly to the south where the parking lot is behind the building, in case we decide to build further south, which that's the only way we can go. And when you mention internally logistically as having the electrical room and so forth, but to add on or to look to the south of the building with an elevation that gives you the same premises, this might be the main entrance 10 years down the road. We may acquire the properties there are vacant, and so there's room to grow to the south. So I would just say maybe encourage you to look at that. When you look at the building in any direction, you can't go to the east because that's the alley there, and you have those office buildings facing Center Street.
Railroad might not appreciate that.
No, we won't move that. Well, they've got buildings to cover that up. But there's an alley to the east. To the north, you've got the main entrance there, but to the west, make it just as your architect is just as pretty, or just as the curb appeal, just as appealing on the west side. But then on the south end, it's not really the back. It's probably the future. And to
Certainly where more parking's located.
well, it is for staff, but there's availability there, and to look at making that maybe the main entrance maybe in 10, 15 years, whatever. But just some comments there. Right. I don't have anything else.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you so much. I wanted to say that where do we go from here? When are you going to know who's going to be picked?
Yeah, we're going towards Mount Olive. We don't know.
Okay. just as a matter of information, the next commissioner meeting is August the 6th. And at that time, on Tuesday morning, August 6th, we're going to meet, this facility committee is going to meet back in this very room at 7 a.m. And we're going to pick one design and build. And when we do that, the commissioners meeting that day, it will be put to a vote on the commission board to be voted on and approved by the commissioners, whoever that is. So that's what we have going forward. So everyone will know approximately the same time who it is, and the public will know at the same time. So just as a matter of information, that's how this is going to move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Woods? Any other comments or questions by anyone? Any comments? Okay, I declare us in a recess until August the 6th. Okay, you'll make the motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go into recess and reconvene on the 6th of August at 7 o'clock a.m.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. We were in recess until August the 6th, Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Thank you.